It's week 62 of the Geek Week in Review. Stay tuned for a She-Hulk and all sorts of good stuff this week, so let's do it.
The Geek Week in Review.
Hello and welcome back to the Geek Week in Review, episode 62. On this podcast, we talk about everything in the world of pop culture that has caught our attention this week. My name is Jacob, aka Jacob's Toys. I'm joined by, of course, the wonderful one and only Super Sorrel and our good friend Ryan Speaks Geek. Do check out the website below and give us a follow on socials and all the rest of it, and give Geek Week in Review a follow as well. And if you're listening on podcast, then we appreciate you. Keep on with the downloads and so on and so on. Kind of run out of steam there. I knew where I was going with stuff, and I kind of like. But yes, let's talk about what's happened this week. Like Sorrel said, I think the biggest news is She-Hulk aired on Disney Plus.
Was that a pun? Did you just make a pun about the size? Biggest news. I'm onto you, man. I'm onto your pun. I've got your pun radar. I'm on it. I've got like a list. I've got a list of potential puns. No, I haven't. I'm not that clever. But yeah, so we had She-Hulk. We've had a couple of trailers drop as well for some good TV shows. Most sort of, I think the one that stood out the most to us was Wednesday. We'll get into that a little bit later as well. And we had a couple of figure reveals as well that came out this week. So we'll get into that. Should we start off with She-Hulk? That seems to be the big.
Yeah, I was going to say as well. Did any of you guys see Jamie Foxx's Day Shift yet on Netflix?
No, it's on my list.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet. I do really want to watch it with Snoop Doggy Dog.
Yeah, man. I didn't realize Snoop Dogg was in it until he shows up. It was like, that is the coolest intro ever.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. We're going to leave that till next week, and we'll let Ryan catch up.
Thank you.
Ryan's not here next week anyway. So, he's off again. He's away again. No.
Look, the thing is, I have a social life, and you guys have got kids. So there's a big difference in lifestyles here. So, you know.
Ryan is a man.
Sunday nights are easier for you guys.
Man about town, Ryan.
That's it. Ryan is a man about town.
She-Hulk. Okay, so spoilers ahead for anybody that has not seen episode 1 of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, but we had the episode of She-Hulk Attorney at Law. I'll come straight out of the bat here. I think it was amazing. I really did. It kind of exceeded the expectations I had. Not because I dislike She-Hulk, Jennifer Waters. As a comic book, she's quite fun to read. Very Deadpool-esque with like breaking the fourth wall and stuff like that. And the comics that I have read, I've not read like kind of entire runs and stuff, but the comics I have read and the stories that she's crossed over in, I've enjoyed it. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't really have a huge amount of expectations going into it, but it definitely exceeded any ones I did have. What about you, gents?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good all-round sort of episode. The first one, like I was saying to you guys off camera, I was expecting the episode to be one of them. Like episode 1's going to be all about the origins, explain how she got the power, because it seemed to start out, you know what I mean, sort of going down that road. But no, they got on with that really quickly, and it was all over and done within the first sort of like 10 minutes. And then the rest of the episode was just about her accepting that she's now She-Hulk, which I thought was good. We didn't get bogged down with too many like details at the beginning.
Like what's interesting is that for the kind of the origin story, I'm not 100% like au fait, is that the right word? But on her origin story. Yeah. So if anyone does know how comic book accurate it was, then do let us know in the comments, etc. But I assumed, because I know that she was.
It was a blood transfusion in the comics, if I remember correctly. I think it's similar kind of situation, but the transfusion drips into an open wound. It's a bit longer, so I kind of like the way they just sort of sped that up into a very quick thing.
Yeah. See, that was my understanding. It was some kind of. I knew it was blood. I know that they're cousins. I know that all that stuff was there, but my sort of memory of it, whether I'd read it somewhere or Googled it somewhere, but it was something to do with blood crossing over. And I thought, you know what, that the way they did it in the show, I was kind of like, yeah, that's cool, that's fine, that makes sense. what I did read though is that, do you know that the origin story part of it that we saw in episode 1 originally was penned for like episode 8, and it was supposed to be series than it was, but they made the decision that the audience wouldn't enjoy it as much until they'd seen the origin story. So I found that quite interesting, that we're kind of sort of seeing it out of order of how it was created.
Did you see the post-credit scene?
And it reminded me.
Oh,
Ryan, you're like on a different time scale here. That's a different time zone.
what happened there?
I really am. I cannot get that to seem to work. I tried to go onto 5G. I've tried.
Oh, bless Ryan.
The extension. I am really trying.
Like, Ryan, we'll be right back. What were you going to say, Sorrel? Let's keep it rolling.
The post-credit scene. They kept that joke running about Captain America being a virgin all the way through, didn't they? Right through to the post-credit scene.
Yeah, I thought that in itself was really the way that she was looking at things that had happened. Like they're conversations that people would have had, like and fans, and it was just brought the universe. And I think they've got quite a difficult job when it comes to the universe building side of it now, because leading up to Endgame, it was quite easy. It was, this is a new person, boom, this is a new person. Whereas now they have to deal with so much that's happened before. There has some kind of callback to it or reference to it in some way. I really liked the way that they showed us what Bruce Banner and Tony Stark had done.
Yeah, that was nice.
After the blip, I thought that was a nice little touch, and it kind of solidified that science bro relationship they had earlier on in the film. So
you told the story that Tony would sit there and drink that whole bottle of alcohol, whatever it was they were drinking, and he sort of filled in the gaps, didn't it, of what's been going on, sort of post blip and everything.
I didn't understand why there was one of the Sentry helmets in the cabin. That didn't. It was a nice little callback, but I didn't quite understand why there was that Ultron. I know but I know in the MCU it was Banner and Stark that kind of created Ultron, which is naturally different to the comic books anyway. But in the MCU, that's the origins, and I don't know. I just thought it was kind of a bit of a weird souvenir to have. Oh, here's where we almost destroyed the world.
Well, maybe he's still researching something to do with it. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, there is that.
Makes him think of the dead Tony or something. I don't know. Possibly.
I thought.
Plus, what I was going to say before my internet goes out for the 50 billionth time, is that one thing I really enjoyed about this, I had my only She-Hulk references really were the cartoon from the 90s, because after the Incredible Hulk season 2, you had Incredible Hulk season 1 and 2, and then season 3 was actually called The Incredible Hulk and Incredible She-Hulk. Like it was. Oh, there we go. So that was the last season was both She-Hulk and Hulk, and it was great. So I was really cool to see her on live action. And I just, do you know what, guys? I don't know if I can keep doing this.
No, you're right. You're fine. I just thought it was really fun.
Not do anything.
It was that big build up, and it was great. It's all right. Let it catch up. Let it catch up. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, annoyingly.
Hold up signs. Agree. It's right. It will catch up, Brian. It will catch up. But yeah, I enjoyed it. And one of the things as well that I think kind of glossed over was the Sakaar ship that kind of appeared at the beginning and caused the crash.
Blatantly building up to something.
It was what?
Blatantly building up to something because of the way that what do you call it? Hulk said, "Oh, it's normally a messenger ship," and I'll do that or something like that. So it's blatantly going to be something else, whether it be in this series or another series. It's going to be something. And who was the relative they were talking about? The other genius. Was that a character that's an established character? Because they said about their other cousin, was it Chet or something like that, or Jed or something?
I missed that. I must have missed that.
Yeah, when they're talking about the cousins, about them being the smartest two, and they said except for Jed, or so Jed or Chet, something like that, one of the two. I was wondering if that was another established character that I wasn't aware of.
There is a lot of talk at the moment about the Planet Hulk or the World War Hulk film being produced. So I do wonder whether this is going to lead in, and that ship has got something to do with that, or to kind of lay the way for that storyline.
Yeah, there's only one problem with the whole Hulk thing, isn't there? It's that whole deal with Edward Norton is still lingering over the company. They can't get rid of it. And Edward Norton's refusing to give up the rights and stuff. He had the rights to 2 films. So he's got one more move on his contract, and Marvel are like recast Hulk as Mark Ruffalo. But Edward Norton's like, I've still got 1 film in my contract. You cannot make an Incredible Hulk movie without him. So I wonder whether they're going to make like World War Hulk and then maybe let him play another version of Hulk or Maestro, or because we're in the multiverse of madness. They could easily bring his version of Hulk into Mark Ruffalo's version of Hulk, technically, if they wanted to.
The difficulty is as well. No, because that's Thunderbolt Ross.
That's Thunderbolt Ross. They could make him be Maestro. Like, is it Maestro? They could let him be that sort of version of Hulk or something.
Maestro would work. The problem is though, is that Edward Norton's Hulk. Yeah, but his version of Hulk wasn't him. It was more CGI. So in order for that to work, they would need to have Bruce Banner in the film as Edward Norton. But I really enjoyed the Incredible Hulk film. I really did like it, and I love the fact that we've kind of gone full circle now. So we've got what's his name back as Abomination. Who is it? I've got. Why do I go blank with names?
I can't think of his name off the top of my head either.
What is his name?
Tim Roth.
Why have I gone blank? Tim Roth. Thank you.
Tim Roth.
In my head, I was just going.
Tim Roth.
In my head, I was going Tim Curry. No, it's not Tim Curry. That's like, I don't know. It's not Tim Curry. Tim Curry is but it is definitely not. The anticipation. It's just, but yeah, no. So Tim Roth coming back as Abomination is fantastic, and I love what we kind of see him from the trailers as well. So I'm really excited for episode 2, and I haven't felt this excited for the second episode of something for quite some time. Like, I've looked forward to the second episode, and been kind of semi excited, but I'm really excited for this one. Just because I think it's going to be jam full of like references and cameos and just building that universe up. It's interesting as well because she was what's her name, Tatiana. You know who it is? Tatiana Menema. I can never pronounce it. Who plays?
Just give up.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so bad. But she went for the female lead in Venom. Did you read that?
Oh no.
Yeah, so she went for that and obviously didn't get it. And she's kind of on record sort of saying, well, I'm kind of happy with that now. Like, I'm happy with She-Hulk. But there is a lot of negativity out there about it, which I was really surprised about, that people are kind of trying to boycott it a little bit, which I just don't understand. Like, we live in an age where we're getting visual content for all of these characters. Like, if you had told me 10 years ago that I was going to be sat down watching a She-Hulk TV show produced by Disney that tied into the wider movie universe, I'd be like,
it's insane, isn't it?
That's stick a fork in me, I'm done. Like, that's insane.
It's because people suck.
Yeah, but I also don't think it's gonna try too hard with itself. I think it's just gonna establish things within the universe that will be later called back on.
Yeah, definitely. There's not the style of the character of like how it is and stuff. They couldn't take itself too seriously because it is ridiculous when you think about it out loud.
Yeah, and there are comic books as well. She-Hulk and Deadpool crossover. Can you imagine that film? That would be mental. Like, both of them just fighting for the audience's attention and breaking the fourth wall, and then the fourth wall and the fourth wall. And there's comic books as well where like She-Hulk like rips Vision in half. I've seen that cover as well. Like, there's so many good She-Hulk stories that they could play into this.
Yeah, when you're on about, I remember what I'm going to say now. When you're on about the thing about the post blip, and the Ultron helmet and stuff, the Sentry helmet. I wonder if he was working on a way to bring back Ultron. Not Ultron, to bring back Vision.
Vision.
Obviously, Vision would have been destroyed at that point. Maybe he was working because Vision came from sort of Jarvis and all the sort of technology they built. Maybe he was working on using part of Ultron to bring back Vision.
That'd be quite a cool link in. MCU wise as well, while we're on the MCU kick, did anyone see the leaked San Diego Comic-Con Guardians of the Galaxy 3 trailer?
No. Didn't realize they even had one.
It looks good. I'm not gonna lie. It looks good. I won't talk about it, but it's out there. They the same as was it Ahsoka that they played the trailer for at San Diego? Saying the same
sort of still haven't released it.
No. They did one for Guardians 3 as well. So the audiences there got to see it, but they haven't released it to the mainstream. But there's always somebody in the audience that records on their phone. And it looks good. It looks really good. It looks like a really good kind of third and final chapter to this version of the Guardians. And I am here for it. I cannot wait for Guardians 3. Cannot wait. But yeah, it's out there. If you wanna view it, it's out there. Go and look it up.
Do we finally see some Adam Warlock? Finally.
It's out there.
Need to go watch
it. Yeah, I just put it this way: there's going to be a whole bunch of new action figures to go with that film.
Oy.
Yeah, there's going to be a whole. Anyone that's complaining about having like multiple versions of the Guardians of the Galaxy, then there's going to be another one at least. it's going to be another lineup at least. So
the only thing I want to know is John C. Reilly going to be in it?
Oh yeah, I wonder. I was really surprised about him first one, but have you found it?
No, or Sylvester Stallone. They bring back Stallone.
Oh, you know what? I would love that because the thing about Guardians, they brought in so many different factions, didn't they? They brought in so many different and comic book accurate factions as well, and they had like a really core version of the Guardians of the Galaxy split out across different factions, and it would just be so bring them all in. But oh, that would be amazing. I think the reason I love it so much as well is it's one of the very few MCU films that was announced that I was like, oh man, like why are you wasting the film on like space? Like, come on, like stick to the ground. Like I was so hyped for the Avengers build up that I was really bummed out when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy. But in reality, we've really got the whole kind of Marvel, Sony, Fox argument to thank for characters such as Guardians of the Galaxy, because in reality, if Marvel had the rights to all of those other characters, we would have had Fantastic Four by now. We'd have had X-Men, we'd have had Spider-Man, and we wouldn't see characters such as Guardians of the Galaxy in that in the way that we have. And so I'm quite pleased that things worked out the way they did, because I like the Guardians comics. They were quite funky. They were quite cool. And this was definitely a slightly different version of that. But yeah, James Gunn worked wonders with it, and I think the third part is going to be one to watch.
I just remember trying to justify it to my friends, going, "So yeah, one of the characters is a tree, and the other one's a raccoon," and they were like, "And you want us to go see this film?" I was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be good."
Yeah,
like, but you just said the main characters are a tree and a raccoon. It's like they are also in it, along with a green dude and a But
then when you told
family.
The tree was voiced by Vin Diesel and the raccoon was voiced by Bradley Cooper, they were sold. Like it was, oh, okay, cool.
So Rocket Raccoon was the only character I knew going into that film, because I knew Rocket Raccoon from the comic books, and me and my brother used to play the Marvel vs. Capcom games, and Rocket Raccoon was always there as like a special attack thing that came in and like fired like guns and stuff. So I remember Rocket Raccoon from all the video games. That was my only reference going in.
I think I was bummed out because I thought I don't like the comic book accurate Star-Lord look as much as I like the MCU version. I think the MCU version is very modern, if that makes sense. And so when I knew it was about Star-Lord and the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the reference point in my head was the kind of really sort of 60s, I think it was 60s era, like, you know, the helmet
suit, yeah.
suit. And I was like, oh man, are they just going to try to do kind of modern Star Wars in Marvel? Like, come on, like, don't mess this up. And then that opening scene where he was like kicking the little rats around and singing in, like, I was like, forget everything I've ever said. I'm here for this. Pass me my popcorn. I am staying. Yeah, it's a good one. But you know that the High Evolutionary is in it because he came out at Comic-Con in full costume and stuff. And High Evolutionary is obviously the person that created Rocket Raccoon and did all those kind of experiments on various different animals and stuff. So
Rocket and Layla, I want to say Layla.
Yeah, there was someone
like his girlfriend, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
she died.
You can kind of imagine the direction this is going in. Yeah. So I think it's really, I think it's going to give a lot of sort of fan service to Rocket and that backstory. And I want to see how Groot looks because we've had adult Groot, we've had baby Groot, we've had teenage Groot, we've had animated 5-part miniseries Groot. What version of Groot are we going to get in this? The rumor is that it's kind of like 20s, late 20s. Yeah.
Well, it depends how much time's passed between
the teenage one we've already seen. Yeah, I think it's basically the Groot you see in the Thor film. That's basically it.
No, he's bigger. He is bigger. Sorry,
because James Gunn said he'll never be adult Groot again.
No, he's not adult Groot again. There's a lot of time between teenage Groot and adult Groot, though.
See, I always thought they were going to bring one of the elder of the species into it. In the Thor trailer when they had that big tree in the ground and stuff. I always assumed that was going to be one of Groot's species. And we're going to one of like the elder version because there's like an elder version of Groot, like an older version where he's like more powerful and he can actually speak in the comics. He didn't just say Groot; he could actually speak. I wonder if they'll ever use that version. Sorry, go on, mate.
So you were hoping for Treebeard, weren't you?
I've not seen hobbits for a while.
Not far. Good. Oh, hang on. I don't know how I went from Groot to Lord of the Rings to Game of Thrones, but Game of Thrones starts very soon. The new Game of Thrones starts like literally Monday. Like by the time this show is aired, it would have been aired.
Yeah.
So it's what is it? House of the Dragon, isn't it?
About the Rings of Power.
It's what?
What?
I'm more excited. Oh God, I'd give up. I'm more excited about the Lord of the Rings TV show.
Yeah.
Oh,
it does look good.
I can hear you. I can hear.
Yeah, it's the House of the Dragon is the one that's is the Game of Thrones one. That comes out Monday. But yeah, I am looking forward to Ring of Power as well. I'm really looking forward to Ring of Power.
I'm looking forward to
a big Lord of the Rings fan.
So let's talk figures quickly before we get on to kind of other stuff because we were talking about She-Hulk and She-Hulk was one of the figures announced, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's so much cool stuff as well coming out. Did you see all the McFarlane stuff that's coming? I got so excited.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff.
Did you see the Avatar? Did you see Jake Sully?
Yep.
Oh, it looks so good.
Yeah, McFarlane, they're. I mean, I know that they're a very established kind of toy brand anyway, but they are. Ryan's now just gone drunk and gone sideways. It's just. But they are really covering so many bases. They really are. Like Hasbro had a large covering with like G.I. Joe, Ghostbusters, Power Rangers, like all those things. But McFarlane seems to be picking up a lot of the kind of brands and franchises that are kind of elsewhere and kind of isolated and kind of bringing them all under that umbrella. So yeah, that Avatar. Good.
Yeah, I was really surprised by Avatar because obviously Avatar is now owned by Disney. The licensing and stuff, obviously, I was surprised went to McFarlane because obviously Disney worked very close with Hasbro over the years.
Yeah.
Disney's like all the dolls and stuff are made by Hasbro and Mattel. So to see products coming out based on Avatar that are not Hasbro is a little bit weird. But I like McFarlane's done a damn good job. Plus, they're a 7-inch scale, so they'll be properly scaled to your action figures because the avatars are meant to be taller.
Yeah. The funny thing is, though, is that Avatar came out so many years ago that you don't know who owned the toy license at the time. Like that contract could have predated all the Disney Hasbro kind of tie-ins. And they, it might just be one of them things that McFarlane's now going, like flicking through papers. Oh, well, I've got this Avatar. Thank you very much. I'll have that.
And they're doing the Warhammer 40k Dark Tide stuff as well. They've got 3 new figures for that coming out that look absolutely amazing. I was never a massive 40k fan growing up, so like I've picked and choose between some of the Space Marine stuff that's come out. But now they're starting to pick on the video games. If they're going to go down the video games route, I'm all for that, because the Dark Tide video game is amazing.
Yeah. See, 40k was when in my kind of Warhammer days, I was very much like the old school Warhammer, like the Lord esque kind of thing.
That's what I was, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't like the, what was it, Blood Bowl or Blood Bowl or something. Bowl. And I didn't like the 40k stuff, and yeah, it was all very much the fantasy tabletop role play kind of painting figures and that stuff. But I know enough about it that I can get behind it and be excited for the new stuff. Yeah, and
I love the idea that they're releasing the artist proof ones, like the grayscaled ones, so they look just like the painted, like the unpainted ones you would get. I like that concept as well, so you can customize your own figures.
Yeah, it would just literally be like doing what people did 20 years ago, but on a massive scale, which is really cool. Also, as well, Diamond Select released the Beta Ray Bill promo.
Yeah, that looked nice.
That looked, that's
interesting.
It's very flamboyant, but looks awesome, and it comes with that kind of spinning hammer effect as well. And obviously, it was Diamond Select Toys that did that spinning hammer effect with the Thor figure before Hasbro picked it up and did it with the more recent Thor. So to see them kind of revisit that with the Stormbreaker, or the comic book accurate Stormbreaker, was really nice. But it's a big figure. Like, it is a big figure, because the Diamond Select scale, again, they're nearer the kind of 7 to 8 inches, depending on what figure you're looking at. So it will scale bigger than other figures in most people's collections. Most of them will have like Hasbro figures, because of it being like the amount that Hasbro put out. So Beta Ray Bill will scale bigger, but it's one of those characters, again, that you can kind of get away with it. It kind of works, just because he was a little bit bigger than Thor, but not hugely. So I
always liked the modern Thanos for that, because I used to always use the modern Thanos opposite the Marvel Legends figures, because Thanos in the comic books was always taller than Captain America. And I always hated that the Marvel Legends one were always bang on 6 inches. They were head to head, which I never liked. So I always used the modern Diamond Select one.
I had a Hulk in my collection for a long time, because it was so much bigger. And that was my go-to Hulk for such a long time. But my boys have got that one now. That's their go-to Hulk. But speaking of Hulk, Hasbro did drop the She-Hulk pictures, but I thought this was already released. I thought that this had already been kind of revealed, but it turns out that it was just leaked a little bit.
Yeah, it did come out a little while ago. Like I say, I think it was leaked out more than anything, but we've now got the official one. It looks good. Yeah,
they've done a really weird thing with this wave, because they've released them all individually, haven't they? And I get it, because it ties in with the TV shows, but this wave is now complete, and it includes Hawkeye and Kate Bishop, Clint Barton and Kate Bishop, that we saw first, which was at Christmas. It then includes Moon Knight and Mr. Knight that we saw in Moon Knight a couple of months later. It also includes Miss Marvel that we saw recently, like Kamala Khan, and She-Hulk that we've now seen as well. And then randomly, that Sharon Carter, Sharon Carter that's wave? It is, yeah. From Winter Soldier. She's Falcon and Winter Soldier. And they make the Infinity Ultron, which is from What If last year. So it's like a really, really randomly put together wave.
Yeah, you'd have thought Khonshu would have, the Khonshu Bath figure would have come with that wave, with all the live action figures, and you would have thought that the Ultron one would have come with the What If wave that's coming out, that's predominantly What If. It's like the Baths have been swapped.
Yeah, it's almost like somebody, if you imagine all the figures and the build figure as playing cards, and someone was walking from one office to another with the playing cards like in two hands, and they tripped and dropped them and go, picked them up and took them back in and put them on the desk, because there are figures like that. Sharon Carter would have been much better placed in the other wave, I think, and put one of these, like maybe Zombie Scarlet Witch, in this wave, because we've seen that's something we've seen. So whereas Sharon Carter seems like really random, she kind of falls more in line with like the Jimmy Woo figure and the He Who Remains figure. But yeah, it's an odd one. But the pre-orders have been going out individually for each of these figures as well. So each of the retailers have been posting links to the pre-orders, and I think there's only a couple that have put out like a full wave pre-order like they would normally, but they kind of put them out blind in respect of, there's a full wave coming. We can't tell you what it is, but it includes this one and this one that you've seen and some others that are coming. So, you know, I was one that put in that pre-order because I knew that they would all be figures that I'd probably want. So I'm quite happy that I've got that now. I've got that kind of secured. But yeah, it's a weird wave for sure. I mean, the Jennifer Waters figure's nice. Like it's a good figure, and it really does look like her in the show, which is nice. And what I did find odd is that they put it up for pre-order the day that the show aired, but she's in her, should we say, superhero costume in the figure, and we haven't yet seen that in the, you know, in the show. And the show's implying that that's not the route that she wants to go down, but we obviously know that she does because we've seen the figure. So it's a weird one.
Yeah, he did make me laugh, that bit in the episode where he says spandex is your friend, because it just reminded me of Eddie Murphy with spandex. I want all spandex.
Yeah. I thought Bruce Banner and like Stroke the Hulk was really good in this. Really tied up a lot of ends, like loose ends, and questions that a lot of people had. The other figure that was released by Hasbro, I guess we should talk about that as well. 20th of the month, because of the 20th anniversary being 2022 being the 20th anniversary of Marvel Legends, Hasbro have said that on the 20th of each month they're going to reveal a new figure, and on this particular month they revealed the retro carded Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider figure, which left a lot of people kind of 50-50 really. There was the camp of people that were really hyped about it and thought it was the most amazing figure that they've ever seen. There was the camp of people that didn't care at all. And then there were the people in the middle that were kind of like, we've kind of had this figure a couple of times already, and you've just kind of put it on a new card.
Yeah, I know it's a repaint. Because I know when we spoke about it, you instantly went, it's a repaint. But like, I know it's a repaint, but I kind of like the costume on this one. It's like, it's going back to that original one that I didn't get, because the one I've got is the one that came on the bike. I never got the original one that came out years ago. Yeah, I got the one on the one that came with the bike. So I never got the original one with darker clothing. So I like the darker colors on the Ghost Rider. So it's nice to be able to get the opportunity to get it. And that human head that's on fire with the penance eyes, that looks awesome. And then the skeleton hands as well.
Yeah. The skeleton hands and the human head are enough for me to want this figure anyway. But
it looks like he's doing. Sorry, it looks like he's doing the penance there, doesn't it? It's got like the red glazed over eyes and stuff.
Yeah. But the head on the Riders one, in my opinion, is better. Like it's a better. But like you say, the costume on the older one is darker, and he's got the chain across him as well, which is quite cool. But the Riders one came out in 2018, and the single release came out in 2015. So they are old figures. Like, you know, even the 2018 one is pushing 5 years old. And I did do a whole video on my thoughts on this, but I just want to share them with you guys, because 5 years for a figure is a long time for new collectors to come in and not have a key character. And Ghost Rider is a key character for a lot of people. So I'm completely behind them just repainting a costume that works. Like, we've got this figure, it works, let's repaint it, give it some new accessories, put it in a new box, makes everyone happy. But the part that disappointed me was that, you know what, you've got so many new ability to do so many new things. You could have upgraded him a little bit, like even just making him pinless. Keep the same mold but make it pinless, just so that it looks newer. because once you get it out of the box, it will look the same as that one from 2015, apart from the paint job. And that's what, and for the new collectors as well, that's my argument for the new collectors, because you know what, you've been waiting for a Ghost Rider, you're a newer collector, you weren't here in 2015 or 2018 or didn't get the opportunity. At least now you've got something that is newer, whereas that's not going to be the case. They're going to have something that's repainted from, nearly 10 years ago, which is insane. But like you say, it does work.
I think this is the start of a new line of retro style figures, because they've released that new, not Iron Man, War Machine, haven't there, as well, on that card back, on like a card back. And those card backs were around back in the 90s, weren't they? They're like old card backs from back in the day. Yeah. So I'm wondering whether they're gonna, because Ghost Rider's in its anniversary year, are we gonna see a bunch of other riders released on that card back?
Yeah, that would be really awesome. That would be really awesome.
Which to me would indicate that I don't think this particular rider, obviously that based on Johnny Blaze, isn't it? I don't think he's going to be the rider that's going to be a part of the HasLab.
No.
If they're re-releasing him now, why would they? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. So I definitely think the new HasLab is going to be not based on him then.
Yeah. You know what? I did do a video on this.
Is the HasLab definitely going to be Ghost Rider then, or did I miss it? Is it officially going to be Ghost Rider?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's officially Ghost Rider.
The only tease they gave was the Ghost Rider. What was it? The 50th anniversary logo with the flame goal, 50 years, and then flames all around the screen, and then HasLab came up. So there was no way of kind of reading that differently than Ghost Rider.
Definitely the car then.
Yeah, I did do a video on this, so I'm not going to repeat my thoughts. But since recording that video, I've had a different view. I've had a different idea, and this is what I think is going to happen. So the HasLab will be Robbie Reyes with the Hell Charger, with the car. That's what we're going to get. We're going to get a car, we're going to get Robbie Reyes, and we're going to get a whole bunch of cool unlocked tiers. So alternate heads, maybe a bike or something. I don't know, but it's going to be full of everything that they can't just release as a standard figure. That's my thoughts. The retro card that we've seen isn't a single release. That's not going to be a single release, because they've released it on the 20th of the month. So they've held true to their promise. It's the 20th of the month. Here's a new figure for you. But very cleverly said, stay tuned for pre-order information. For me, that says that card back, we're going to see 2 or 3 or maybe even a full wave of Ghost Riders on that card back, because there are so many that they could put in. They've done Johnny Blaze, they could do Danny Ketch, they could do the Caretaker, they could do the Phantom Rider, the actual original cowboy Ghost Rider, they could do the Caretaker, which is like the Western version of the Ghost Rider. They could essentially give all of the fans that are calling out for all these obscure kind of Ghost Rider figures the opportunity to pick them up in one wave, or kind of similar to what they've done with the legacy figures, where they're not a wave, but they all come out together in the same box. And that's what I think they're going to do. And it's going to tie in with the HasLab project. So if you have these figures, it makes your HasLab project better, similar to what they've done with Galactus and the Heralds of Galactus, etc., but in a more uniformed way. So that if you came in with £600 or whatever and said, right, there's my HasLab, there's my special wave or my special legacy figures or whatever, here's my Ghost Rider setup. That's what I think the plan is now. I scrapped the things that I said in my video about it being unlocked tiers and stuff. I think that there's a wave coming, because if there wasn't a wave coming, they would say pre-order at the end of the month, or pre-order coming X, Y, and Z, or retail price registered recommended retail price is this. But they gave none of that information away, which says that it's tied into something bigger. And that's my Ghost Rider. Sorry, I'm well excited for Ghost Rider.
Yeah, if you look back at the original waves, Toy Biz did it, didn't they, back in the 90s? But then also did they re-release it along, do remakes of them alongside the movie release, which had Caretaker, Vengeance, and a couple of others in the wave. There was 4, I think. They could easily just recreate those on that card back, to be honest, just update them.
Yeah. They could even throw in like a Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider. God. But they could throw in the MCU version. So if they were looking to build up a wave, there are so many obscure Ghost Rider characters they could put in that wave anyway, that they've got a wave, easily a wave, or a legacy. I'll call it a legacy because that's what they did with Black Panther. I gave us 6 figures in the legacy boxes. So they've either got a wave or a legacy there. The wave, they don't have to do a builder figure because they're retro carded. But then there's also homage to Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider or Delba's Vengeance. Like, you know, the characters that we saw in the films, but given us those figures. Like, can you imagine if in the same year they gave us Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, they gave us freaking Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider as a modern action figure? I would lose I would lose it. I would be like, yeah, that's awesome. Like, give me a Cage figure. Like, I'm just like an accurate head sculpt of Cage, so I can just put him on every single body I've got and just do the Cage verse. You know, Nicholas madness of the Cage verse or whatever. Like, but that's my theory. I think that we're gonna see more of these figures.
I don't collect Marvel Legends, as you know, but I actually do want a couple of Ghost Rider figures for my Halloween collection thing. Because I mean, I always loved Ghost Rider as a kid. Cause I always thought he was like good-looking thing in comic books. Frankly.
Yeah. The other funny thing as well,
motorbike that's on fire. So I would probably get them.
I got a Sentry figure this week, and I haven't opened it yet. But in there's also the flaming head accessory in here. So that right there is going to be on a Ghost Rider buck, hands down. There's no two ways about it. It's got the blonde hair, it's got the flame, it's got the skull. Like, if they've tooled a new head sculpt of a flaming skull, in the same year that they're doing a big Ghost Rider, like, come on, it's the writing is on the wall. Like, it's there. And I'm really excited because we are getting really close to the time where information is going to start dropping about this. And I just need to put my kids down to work or something to afford it.
The new, what do you call it? The Hasbro thing is going to be on like near Halloween, isn't it? October something?
I think it is.
It's the beginning of October. Still, it's in spooky season. So they could get away with...
It's September, in the last day of September and the first couple of days of October.
That's what I'm saying, though. They could kick off spooky season, so to speak, by doing a whole Ghost Rider line and giving us all the details on it. That would be their sort of like introduction to sort of like the Halloween period.
I just love it. Like, Ghost Rider for me, and I've got to kind of give you a little bit of backstory here, but Ghost Rider for me was such a key character growing up as a comic book to read, because for any kids that are listening, once upon a time, it was not cool to be a geek. Like, it was not cool to be into superheroes and into comic books. Like, you know, I know it's hard to believe, but...
You were the Eddie Munstons of the old days.
Yeah, it was like, even Eddie Munston wasn't cool. Like, you know, to be Eddie Munston, not cool. Like, that was not cool. So for me, Ghost Rider was always one of those comic books that I would kind of sell my friends with, if that makes sense. So I'll be sitting there reading my Spider-Man books and my Avengers and Batman, Superman, like all those kind of things. And they were all characters that other people were familiar with. Like, they knew who Spider-Man was. They knew who Superman was. But to be reading that was proper geeky. And it was like, what, you're reading about a teenager in like Lycra running around like spinning webs at people. Right? Yeah, look at this guy. He's got a flaming head and he rides a motorcycle. Like, tell me that's not cool. Like, you know, and a lot of people kind of gave me a little bit of ease because they were like, oh, actually, that's quite cool. That's quite dark. That's quite, like, you know, bearing in mind that people thought that metal was quite, you know, that if it was metal, it was okay, like, you know. But and Ghost Rider was like a metal character, like it was like a flaming head on a motorcycle, like working for the devil, like, you know. So that was one of the, and so I got really into Ghost Rider because I found it as a almost like a gateway for people that weren't into the spandex wearing superheroes, and I was like, yeah, I'm reading about superheroes, but look at this superhero. Like this one's cool. He's got a leather jacket, But so I was so for me, Ghost Rider.
I mean, to get into action figures with
that. Yeah, see, that should be in the Ghost Rider wave.
Just bringing it back.
So Ghost Rider for me is a massive one that like I really hold dear, and it's to know that we're in that 50th anniversary and that there's so many kind of action figures coming this year is really exciting for me. So yeah, that's why you mentioned Ghost Rider. I'm off on one. I'm like, yes, we want this, give us that, give us this. And there are so many good characters they could give us. So I don't know. But while we're on the subject of spooky season, there was another trailer that dropped, and it's got to be.
Okay.
No, go on.
I had two other things to sort of go off from like press releases that we got this week. If that's okay, to run through them right quick. So,
sorry.
Star Wars Black Series, Darth Revan, the Force Effects Elite lightsabers coming back.
Yes,
it sold really well for the first time around, so they're bringing it back. The Darth Revan saber that can change color and stuff like that. It's going to be available for pre-order at Entertainment Earth and other major retailers, and it's going to be at $278.99. It's had a little price hike, and it'll be available in spring. And the other thing that we got, which was a lot of people, some people were happy about it, some people weren't. We got the new Black Series announcement for MCM Comic Con London. So we're getting an exclusive.
Yes.
Did you hear about this?
I got sent it as well, but I didn't share it because so many people were sharing it. I was like, Star Wars, my channel doesn't cover Star Wars as much, so I'm not gonna rush to the thing, and I'll talk about it with you guys. And then I completely forgot.
What is it?
So it's Admiral Akbar on the Return of the Jedi card back, but they've basically redecoed the figure that we've already got to look like the Kenner inspired version of it. Like when they made Greedo and they made him all green, and they gave us like a really weird Obi-Wan this year with like a vinyl cape.
Yeah. Let's not talk about.
Yeah. So vintage style.
So they've done a vintage 6-inch style Admiral Akbar. But obviously, it's a figure that's already readily available, heavily discounted. So you can pick this figure up for $12.99 in most places now. Smiths couldn't get rid of them a month ago, and now.
That's $12.99 retail. In the groups and stuff, it's a figure that goes for a lot less if it's loose.
Oh yeah. And the retail price of this one's going to be 30 quid because it's on the special card back.
Yeah.
So, and
do you reckon it's actually just all the ones that didn't sell that was shipped back?
Yeah, somebody has gone around buying them all up.
Mate, if you look at the Return of the Jedi card back wave, you would literally think that because they literally are all the ones we've already had. Yeah. It's basically the Endor 4-pack we got a few years back as a Comic-Con exclusive. It's all those characters plus Admiral Akbar.
Yeah. Shall I tell you the one thing that about it though was that straight away. I'm going to MCM in October, but I was kind of it's an MCM exclusive. This is really cool. It's a UK exclusive. Like I'll go and pick one up, even if it's just for somebody else that I know, because it's available at the Hasbro booth. But then it's readily available elsewhere the next day, like literally the next day. So before I could send it on to one of my mates, they could order it themselves through their normal channels and probably get it before mine would reach them. And
the best part is, there is that issue. So obviously, it's going to be available at the convention for the 2 days or 3 days that it's on. But then obviously everyone can order it from the 2nd of November anyway. But they haven't said whether it's going to be actually at the con, because don't forget, at San Diego Comic-Con, people queued up ages to get a QCR code for the privilege of ordering a figure. They didn't actually get a figure on the day.
Oh, right, yeah.
So is it going to be a case of that basically you're all going to go to MCM and go to the Hasbro booth and they're going to hand you a QCR code that allows you the opportunity to order it a day early through the Hasbro Pulse website? Because that's what they did at San Diego. Nobody actually had a figure in stock.
The one thing I got from that press release was that Hasbro were going to be at MCM.
Yeah.
That was the big takeaway for me from that press release. Is I was like, oh, okay, so there is going to be a Hasbro booth at MCM, which they haven't had for a number of years now. Like most notably, it wasn't there last year, and there was a really big presence missing. I thought personally, it just felt like nothing against Funko Pop and stuff, but it just felt like an anime and Funko Pop convention to me, because there was such a huge presence of that, and that I enjoy it, and it was great to be around, and the cosplay is incredible. But I was kind of like, you know what, where's my Hasbro kind of element? It was definitely a missing presence there. So that was what I got from that. Is I was like, oh, I'll go to the Hasbro booth. Oh, Hasbro booth. So I'll go and I'll see what it's like, see what's going on. But yeah, it was
that was it.
Yeah, very interesting though. Very interesting release. I think what's a shame is that they could have at least given us a week on it. You know what I mean? Like, could have at least given us a week, or even just a couple more days to know that it's readily available the day after the con finishes.
Especially as we've not had access to their exclusives in America yet for the San Diego Comic-Con ones.
No.
As far as I'm aware, no one in the UK has been able to order the Jon Favreau figure yet.
No, I did see a picture of that earlier. Maybe it was someone talking about it.
I mean, they've had exclusivity on that for some time now.
Yeah.
Whether or not they'll probably bring that to the UK con when they come in March. It's not that long now, is it, till the actual con? They may as well bring them over with them. But yeah, it was kind of like the exclusivity wasn't there. The figure itself is just a figure we already have. It just felt very, we're going to get an exclusive, but you don't want it.
I know I mentioned this in a different video, but the whole exclusive element to action figures nowadays, I think they need to just drop it. I think they need to just get rid of it, because the international markets killed exclusives, and at the same token, with COVID and lockdown and everything like that, and then everything kind of going to online sales again killed exclusives, because we don't have an issue here like with exclusives. Like that Sentry is I think it's a Walmart or a Walgreens exclusive. So there are friends over in the States that can't get hold of it, whereas it just pops up on our normal retailers because there isn't presence of that store in the UK. So our normal retailers just get the ability to pre-order however many they need. So that kills the exclusive element. And I know it's to do with contracts, to do with stores. But when it comes to convention exclusives, I think that needs to kind of be I think they need to change the wording to, you can get this at a convention for 6 months. After 6 months,
it's timed.
Yeah. So if you want it now, because then there'll be people like ourselves that will want to review it or sharing it on social media and stuff that will go, you know what? I'll travel to the con. I'll pick up the figures, this, and this, because then I can do it. I can do some coverage on it before it goes to the general public. But for something to be a UK convention exclusive that's available worldwide the day after, what's the point? What is the point? Like, because you're not going to have that on your shelf and go, oh, this is the UK convention exclusive, or this was an exclusive for one weekend. It's saying.
Have you noticed that the exclusives now seems to be Smiths? Smiths with the Black Series have started. They've had 3 exclusives in a month now.
Yeah.
And they've had Tika, they've had Tika the Jawa, they've had the new not Death Trooper, but the Purge Trooper, and they're getting another one as well. I think it's the robot.
Yeah, and the same goes for the Legends line as well, because the Legacy figures.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're Smiths.
Yeah, they're Smiths exclusive in the UK, but 4 of the 6 were readily available. But then M'Baku and the Civil War Black Panther were I can't remember exactly where, but say Target and Walmart, for example, but they were exclusive to stores. But over here, the 6 of them were just exclusive to Smiths, whereas in the States, 4 were readily available. Yeah. The other 2 were store exclusive. So Smiths is picking up a lot. So they also up their prices a little bit, but then they do have weird sales, which is quite cool. But, you'll go in there and pick up a figure for a tenner randomly. So I don't know. But yeah, exclusives, and the topic of exclusives is a whole another conversation, really. So let's move on to the other trailer that we were talking about. There was another trailer that dropped that was completely away from the superhero and Star Wars genre. You know what? For the first time, you didn't lag. That worked perfectly, right?
Oh, finally.
I think you're actually on. I think you've caught us up. But yeah, Wednesday, like, wow, like what is
Can I
going on
jump in
there?
first?
Go for it.
Before the sound goes to crap, I'll jump. The complaint people are having is supposedly about the way that the casting for, particularly as Gomez. But I think he's great. He looks so much like the original doodles, like cartoons. That when you look at it, like he really reminds me of the original drawings.
Who is it?
Is it Raul Julia?
Oh yeah,
Louis Gozman. He's one of those things. Fantastic actor. But people need Raul J. Good Gomez in the Addams Family films that we love beyond measure, that everyone loves. That it's so hard because everything is always which actually is, and like it's TV series, which was brilliant. You know, all of it is just mainly compared to those, which is quite funny. And not family reunion. I don't know why.
No. Yeah.
But it's amazing. I'm down for the cut.
I think we lost you at the end there, Ryan, and all of a sudden you had water in your mouth. Like, it was like that was a trick. You were talking while drinking. Like, that's insane.
I'm just going to put this up for maintenance. This is my maintenance shot. I'm just going to keep this up for
the trailer itself, though. It's Tim Burton, isn't it?
Tim Burton, yeah.
Tim Burton. And it is dark. Let's be honest. It is really dark. And that threw me a little bit because I wasn't expecting it to be kind of Beetlejuice-esque dark. Like it was, yeah, that piranha scene. I was like, what? And even when it dropped him in, I was kind of like, oh, they'll all get out and it'll be like a Wednesday. But no, no.
And that the way because he doesn't deserve to procreate. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah. It was like that scene in itself. I was going to say that scene in itself from a trailer was better than the entire movie Piranhas 3D. Like, it was better than the entire movie. But there is a little bit of confusion for me. Piranhas. Hey, that is that the one with Kelly Brook in it?
There's Piranha 3 Double D, which was in 3D.
I've got
Piranhas 3
which is the sequel to the original one from that, and then you got Piranhas 3D, and then you got Piranhas Double D.
I can't believe you own a video DVD version of Double D. Like, it is awful, awful.
Actually, haven't seen that one yet. Because I wanted the originals, and I'll watch him. I'll probably end up trading it in, but
Double D, I think you will eject it from the player and just throw it out the window. Like, there's an entire scene where there's just two girls kissing half naked, swimming around in the water. And there's not even any piranhas in it. It's just like, why are you doing this? Like, this is just glorified.
You're actually just watching porn by mistake.
No, but it is. It's kind of like I felt like my missus fell asleep. And the thing is whenever there's a handful of kind of films that I'll only watch if she falls asleep because she's not a big horror fan. So anything that's slightly kind of that I think is going to be a bit scary. Same. I'll watch it when she's asleep. And I put that on because I was like, I haven't seen this in a long time. Like, is it as bad as I remember? And I put it on. And I just thought to myself, please don't wake up in this scene because you're going to think I'm watching something really dodgy. Like, and that's how I felt through most of the film. So I had to keep kind of pausing it. So the title came up on the screen. I was like, no, it is a horror film. Like, it's supposed to be. So it's just, but yeah, it's just awful. It's just awful. It's enjoyable, but it's awful. But I was a bit confused about this.
It's the hand, though. It's in my what to get out thing. So.
Yeah, whatever. Look, it's your favourite.
What's confusing you?
Addams Family has had a bit of a revamp recently with the animated films, hasn't it? They've made it very family focused and very aiming at the kind of Hotel Transylvania audience, like, you know, and that's kind of the strain that they've gone down, in my opinion. So like my kids are kind of now talking about who Addams Family are, and like, oh yeah, it's funny and stuff like that. And then out of nowhere, they release like a grown-up version of the TV show. But my kids are like, oh, a TV show about Wednesday Addams, that's going to be brilliant. And I was like, nope. Nope, no. That is not for you. So I think there might be a couple of...
I guess this is like the TV equivalent of like Kenner doing toys for violent 80s film. This is like the reversal type version, isn't it? It's like we got used to it being a family thing again, and then suddenly it's like, and now rated R, Care Bears, blood and murder.
Mate, that sounds good. I'd buy a ticket. Yeah.
All they care about is vengeance. Sorry.
Care Bear stare. But yeah, I was I just found it a bit like left field, that kind of like, you've done these 2 animated movies, you've really pushed hard at aiming it at the family audience, and then out of nowhere you've now gone, actually we're going to do a grown-up TV show. But it looks brilliant. It looks like a lot of fun. I
think maybe it's kind of like going, you know, okay, this is for the families, and then for the kids, for the adults who grew up watching the films and the, you know, that have that sort of dark, twisty humor type thing, they like that kind of thing. Especially anything Tim Burton-esque, I think is mainly for it's like that version. So that's when the kids are up. This is when the kids go to bed. Would be what I guess
it is. We'll get that.
I just give up. It's if it maybe it's good I'm having a week off. We'll give a chance for my bloody internet to catch up.
You just got to put 50p in a meter, mate.
Yeah, with this new version that they're making, I think it's definitely more grown up. But it's Tim Burton. If you've read have you read about the synopsis of what it's about?
No, I'm going into it blind, but we can talk about it. I don't mind.
Okay, because basically it's focusing on Wednesday Addams, so the rest of the Addams family aren't going to be in it that much. It's mainly based on her going to this like boarding school that's like called the Nevermore Academy, and while she's there, she uncovers like the secrets of the Addams family and why they're so weird and different, and she finds out she has psychic powers and stuff. So it sounds very random and weird. And Christina Ricci's going to be in it she's got a cameo role in it, but they haven't said what she's doing or anything.
Oh,
and also what's he called? Fester hasn't been cast, but he's in it. And they're keeping it very close to chest about who's playing Fester. All the main cast, when they've been asked in interviews, they're all saying can't comment. So they're not saying who's playing Fester. So if it was just a random new actor playing him, if it was just somebody random and new, they'd just announce it, surely, because they've already shown off that it's like, you know, that we've got Catherine Zeta-Jones and Louis Guzman. So like, why are they hiding this character? I wonder if there's going to be some form of what?
He's all Addams family.
I wonder if there's going to be some form of because it's Tim Burton, he likes weird. I wonder whether it's...
I got Addams family. Fast.
I ain't got friends. I've got values. Go on. Sorry.
Oh, because it's Tim Burton, he likes doing weird stuff. I wonder whether there was going to be some form of like the new version of Wednesday Addams is going to speak to the grown-up version of Wednesday Addams, played by Christina Ricci, back in the costume for the first time in years. And then Fester could actually be Christopher Lloyd. Imagine if they actually had Christopher Lloyd back in the role as like an old version of Uncle Fester, helping her do something. And then they could make so many jokes about Back to the Future and things like that. They could make so many jokes.
Yeah.
So the only reason to keep it under wraps to me would be because Christopher Lloyd's back. Why else would they keep it under wraps?
Not because it's Johnny Depp, because Tim Burton just likes casting Johnny Depp and everything.
That would be the weirdest Johnny Depp thing he's ever done, I think, wouldn't it?
Willy Wonka?
The Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
Hello, the world says hello.
Hello.
What is he says in that bit? Good morning, sunshine. The world
it's
says,
literally that, yeah. Good
hello.
morning, sunshine. Your says hello.
That's like the screensaver in my head. Like when I'm not thinking about something, I hear that. Like, it's just like
I always like when the fireworks go off and it goes, the music and the magic is wow.
It's just, I'm going to go on record here, right? I actually think that version of Charlie and Chocolate Factory is on par with the original for different reasons. Like, honestly, and don't get me wrong, like, Imagination as the song is one of my favorite songs, and Gene Wilder in the role is one of my favorite kind of castings. But when you watch that Johnny Depp film and you ignore everything else around you, there is so much weirdness in it that only makes sense in the Willy Wonka kind of universe. Honestly, watch it again, but ignore everything else you know. And Willy Wonka is like, when you think of who Willy Wonka is and you see Johnny Depp's portrayal, it makes perfect
according
sense.
to Johnny Depp's version of it.
Yeah, but he would be. But he would be this weird, creepy, kind of totally out of touch of reality, kind of like, honestly, there's like, have a drink and then watch it. Watch it, but ignore everything else you know. And just watch it and be
that
like,
should not be the pretext for watching a film. Get smashed, then watch it, and then it's bearable.
No, not bearable. It makes sense in the respect of when. Right, okay, going off track a little bit here, but when you watch something, and there's already an established, like, brilliant version of it, you watch it, putting it through that filter. That's just human behavior. That, okay, so how is his Willy Wonka going to compare to Gene Wilder?
This conversation's making me want to lag.
But Spider-Man's a prime example. Like, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man bombed in the box office because everyone compared it to Tobey Maguire. We'd seen Tobey Maguire, and it was kind of like, Andrew Garfield does not. He's rubbish. He's not our Spider-Man. He can't do it. Blah blah blah. And the film's bombed. But now everyone's like, oh, Andrew Garfield's the best Spider-Man in the world. And it's a similar thing in the respect of that when that film came out, you compare it to such an iconic, perfect kind of version of the film that we had before. And so therefore people were like, well, he's not doing this and he's not doing that and he's making it this. But pretend that film doesn't exist and think about
joking aside, I do get what you're saying. There is a lot of beautiful imagination in it. There is a lot of weirdness, and there is a lot of Tim Burton's crazy mind, which is good. I don't like Johnny Depp's portrayal. Never worse over the years. The more I've watched it over the years, actually, the less I loved it when it first came out, but I've continuously liked it less as time has gone on. And also the Deep Roy Oompa Loompas, just no. One Deep Roy is fine, not 300 of them.
Oh yeah,
terrifying.
No,
the songs are catchy, but it's not good now. Where I would rather watch a couple of clips on YouTube than watch the whole film again, because I don't.
Okay.
It actually makes me feel a borderline uncomfortable watching it now.
Yeah,
but there's something oddly sinister though, isn't there, about Christopher Lee as the dentist sat with the Halloween candy going, "These are bad for your cavities."
Oh, that's actually one of my favourite bits.
Yeah,
I love it. But when it came out in the cinema, I went to go see it, and I went to go see it twice. I really enjoyed it that much, and I like I said, I get the underlying sinister tones. I get that's the whole point of it, because it's meant to be like Willy Wonka's meant to be kind of a creepy. And I understand that, but I just feel so uncomfortable with Johnny Depp's ones. It makes me feel weird, which I guess is what the.
But that's it. That's the
weird
point.
That I don't want to see. No, but it makes it so weird that I don't want to see him anymore. That's how weird it is now.
And that's jackpot. Like that for me. That's the jackpot of it. Is that
because then I don't watch the film anymore, so it loses because I'm not ever.
No, but you've already watched it a load. But the point I mean is that Willy Wonka, for me, like, as a character, I was always like, this guy's like, you think about like modern celebrities and stuff that are kind of locked away and out of touch of reality and stuff like that. And Willy Wonka essentially has locked himself away and just had himself to kind of be accountable to. And then all of a sudden he's interacting with children and adults, and he's kind of, he's like not mature enough for his age, and it's just, and it makes you uncomfortable, and that's what I think is the brilliant part of it. The film as a whole is nowhere near as good as the original. Like, I don't like the Oompa Loompas. There are certain bits that I'm like, nope, that doesn't make sense. But the portrayal of Willy Wonka, for me, there's something really sinister about it, and it's one of my favorite kind of on screen. And that clip, hello, sunshine. The world says hello. It's just
without that film, you might not have Freddie Highmore though. So I mean, it helped his career massively, that film.
Yeah, no, fair enough. That's
the kid who went on to do Bates Motel.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's
Good Doctor and stuff.
That in itself is a, but no, I it's one of them weird films that I'll always kind of stand up and go, you know what, I hate it, but I love it.
Yeah,
because of Willy Wonka in it. Because I never wanted to like Willy Wonka as a character. I always wanted to kind of hate him, and in that one I do. But anyway, kind of gone on a massive tangent there. But it's but I think that there's a lot to be said about what we're going to get from Addams Family. Is that and similar to the point I'm trying to make is even now we're talking about Fester. We're talking about Uncle Fester and who's going to play him, because we're running it for the filters of what we know and what we love already. So how do they top that? How do they improve on that? Or do they kind of hit the fan service and give us what we already know? I think either way, it's going to be good.
I hope it's really good, because it's the Rob Zombie Monsters remake that's coming out, which is one of my favorite things when I was a kid. And I've got the DVD box set. I watch it Halloween. My wife put it for me. I absolutely love it. I'm not so keen on the way this remake. Also, he keeps saying he's one act to save her life, but so she's been cast in it, but it just does. I don't know. It just doesn't feel right, and that's coming straight to Netflix, which is interesting because normally Addams Family and Monsters are two competing sort of franchises, as it were. But to have them now both going to be an interesting take. But I hope it's really good. I want it to be good because I love the Addams Family. I haven't seen the animated films, so to be honest, this is sort of my viewings. I'll watch them at some point probably. I'm sure they'll be all right. And we just watch the two films of the original TV series. That's my sort of Addams Family. But this I am genuinely excited about, because I think it's going to be like for the people who grew up watching the old and the two live action films that we kept talking about. The third straight to DVD one with Tim Curry that no one talks about.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt, that's what it's going to be. That it's going to be a fan for the, like you say, for the people who grew up kind of watching those films. This is the grown-up version that they always kind of wanted, and the side of characters like Wednesday Addams that we always knew she had, but we've never really seen because of the ratings and the way that the films have been age rated and stuff. So the other thing as well that came out on Netflix, we talked about it briefly, so let's sort of talk about it spoiler free. It was Day Shift with Jamie Foxx, and Snoop Dogg and James Franco
and Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Are they still hiring James Franco for things?
It was James Franco, wasn't it?
Yeah, James Franco's in it.
Yeah, James Franco plays James Franco.
They're still hiring James Franco.
James Franco is James Franco in this.
James Franco. But
that's interesting. He's still being hired.
But with that said, his character is one of my favourites in it. Like, he was one of my favourite characters in it. Without giving too much away. But the for anyone that hasn't seen it, I personally kind of put it in the same. Okay, I've got to be really careful with my words here, but it's almost like the kind of Lost Boys kind of strain of vampire, where it's at some level there's like a horror film, and at some level there's a teen kind of action film, if that makes sense. It was a good balance, and I really enjoyed it for that it didn't.
If it was released as a straight up vampire horror fest, they wouldn't get the audience behind it. But because it's Jamie Foxx and Snoop Dogg, the people you wouldn't expect to be in a horror film, like someone like my dad who's not massively into horror, sat and enjoyed that film.
Yeah. And
he actually said same as you, it had a very Lost Boys feel to it. It was trying to be a horror film without going too dark.
Yeah. That's I'm glad I'm not the person that thought that. That's cool. So Dad, I thought the same. What sold it to me is my missus turned around and goes, "Oh, there's this new film with Jamie Foxx and Snoop Dogg called Day Shift. Do you want to watch it?" And I went, "It's a vampire film. Are you sure?" No. You watch it on your own. but it was kind of Lost Boys-esque. That's the best way of putting it. But it was good. I laughed out loud at quite a few moments, like where it was, and I think that it handled everything. It handled the kind of the aspect of vampires being there and how that's dealt with and how that's like society lives with that. There was obviously the kind of side story of Jamie Foxx's background and his kind of family life and stuff. It was just a very enjoyable film from start to finish. And Snoop Dogg didn't look out of place. He kind of fit in it quite well. Like it was like I love
Huggy
Snoop.
Bear again.
I love Snoop, but it was basically just Huggy Bear in a Stetson. Like it was like it was.
I'm fine with that.
It was that same sort of character he played in that, and it was just very much like it's just Snoop Dogg in a Stetson. What more do you want? He's just blowing vampires away. Get in.
It was just the scene with the minigun where I was just like, this makes no sense. This makes no sense, but I mean, no, it's all right, Ryan. It won't give you any. It's not going to give you any spoilers, but just the scene with the minigun, I was kind of like, this makes sense in regards to what's going on, but it makes no sense. Like it's so what like, and it went on that little bit too long where I was just kind of like, okay, how many days? Yes.
Yeah, it reminds me of those films almost like your Dust Till Dawns, your Desperados. It had that kind of slightly Western feel, horror vampire kind of thing going on. It was very much like your Dust Till Dawn kind of movie, wasn't it? It was. You don't know whether you should be laughing or taking it seriously.
Yeah,
and the movie can't decide either. And
it kind of makes the whole vampire lore kind of cool again, if that makes sense. Like it's the vampire films kind of either go harder, kind of try to scare you, or down this route where it's kind of like, we're gonna have a bit of fun with this, and it went down that one, which was really cool. I really enjoyed it, and that's on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. But Netflix is getting some good stuff from there.
Netflix is definitely good. Has either of you guys signed up to Paramount Plus?
Yes.
Have it worth it?
I've got it through Amazon Prime as an extension. It's all right. It's got some stuff on it. It's got a couple of South Park things that never got released over here about the pandemic and stuff.
Go back. Yeah. As an adult for Amazon Prime.
So Amazon Prime. You know the Amazon Video Prime that you can get.
That I have. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can get add extra channels like Stars Play and stuff.
You can go to channels and you've got like Shudder, which is the horror one, and things like that. You can get like the add-on channels. You can basically pay. I think it's like $6.99, $7.99. And they'll add Paramount Plus onto it for you. You don't have to actually get Paramount Plus. You can just get the add-on on Amazon.
So is that $6.99 a month?
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, so it's essentially like just signing up to it.
Yeah. I just did it through Amazon because I've already got the account set up. It was easy. And you still get your 30 days free and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's fine. And I thought I'd missed an offer, a bonus there. Like, whoa, hang on. But it doesn't seem to have made the big.
No, I just want to binge the Halo series because the Halo TV series, they put the first episode of the Halo TV series on Channel 5, and
did they?
And then that it's such a dickhead. Yeah, dickhead move. Like it just made everyone I've spoken to pissed off. Like, here's the one episode of a brand new series you can watch on Channel 5, and then you get pay to sign up to see the rest. Like, I'm not doing that. If anything, our principal, I'm not doing it now. So I'm going to use a 30-day trial, watch it, and then never use it again. They're being dicks.
YouTube did that with Cobra Kai, if you remember rightly. Yeah. They released the first 2 episodes, I think. They were just there, and then any episode after that was part of their subscription service. And a lot of people didn't buy into it, and then all of a sudden it turned up on Netflix. So, I wonder whether I don't think that they'll keep that exclusive if they don't get the audience. But Halo. To be honest with you, Halo is the only thing on there that's kind of going, that's kind of teasing me into it, and there doesn't seem to be a lot kind of in the works. for me to justify signing up to it.
No, the only thing
that's what a lot of people have said about it was about, other than the South Park stuff, there's just not enough content to justify the price. If it was like a $2.99 add-on to Amazon, people were like, yeah, that'd be fine, but it's a full page just streaming service. It should have more on it, or at least have more in the works.
Yeah. I got my 30 days free, and I binge watched all 3 of the South Parks that are exclusive to it, and then Strange New Worlds by Star Trek. I binge watched whatever episodes were available for that. And I just said to myself, if there's ever a free like weekend or something, I'll just catch up on those ones I've missed. But the only other thing on it really is like, and it's probably like no one's gonna be that bothered, I don't think, except our generation. They've got like Rugrats 2021, they've like remade Rugrats as like a CGI. It's a reinvention of the 90s Rugrats, and they've done. What's the other one as well? SpongeBob's got some on there, Coral Camp or something, and there's another one in there.
Yeah, they don't really interest me that much. No, but like it's I don't know. They're trying to get the kids in, but like I don't know. I still don't think there's enough on there to justify the price yet.
And I think when you look at other streaming platforms, like Netflix kind of progressed, didn't it? It evolved along with the Netflix video delivery system and all that kind of stuff. Amazon Prime became like an add-on for, you pay for your Amazon Prime, you get your packages next day, and then we're also going to give you a streaming service. And Disney Plus basically just came out of the door swinging, like, we're launching on this day and we've got this Marvel, Star Wars, like, you know. So whereas Paramount, I think it's the first streaming service to kind of launch since Disney Plus, and it's not, and the fact that they've even called it Paramount Plus, it's like they're trying to be a contender but not contending, if that makes sense. So I don't know.
I'll tell you what, that's underrated. Actually, my wife gets it free with her phone. Like, we've got it as part of her package, so it's good. I've got like Disney Plus as part of my phone package. She's got Apple TV as part of her phone package, so it's great. But there's actually loads of really good stuff on Apple TV, like a lot more than I actually thought there was. Again, but it's one I don't hear a lot of people talking about, but probably should, because if you're not happy with Paramount Plus, I'd recommend looking at Apple TV, because like I said, there's a lot of new just original content that's nothing to do with existing franchises or stuff like that, but just their own original stuff, and it's brilliant. Like, it genuinely, the quality has been awesome. It's not a bad thing on there yet.
All right. Yeah, see, Apple TV is one that I had years ago and then just kind of dropped off because it wasn't worth paying for. But then obviously they've evolved what Apple TV is now. But yeah, any other big news? Anything else from this week, or have we kind of covered it all?
That's kind of it. The only thing that came out, you guys have yet to see it yet, but there was the Spirit Halloween the movie announcement. That'll be available on video on demand. They haven't said which service is getting it yet, but by the sound of the way things are going, it probably will be Netflix. And that's coming out on October 11th.
Nice.
So it's basically just based on the chain store in America, and some kids get locked in overnight, and trouble ensues, as it says. And Christopher Lloyd's in it, and Rachel Lee Cook. So 2 well-known people.
Christopher Lloyd's just in everything. Christopher Lloyd needs his own movie about Christopher Lloyd.
He was good in Nobody, actually.
You know, the thing that one of my favourite roles.
I am going to the cinema 3 times for retro showings. These retro showings, you'll all be happy to know, James Bond, The World Is Not Enough, Star Trek, the motion picture, which has been now recut, and it's the first time it's being seen in the cinemas, and also Grease. That is my retro TV cinema goings this week. 3 times.
They're putting Grease. Is that like an in honor thing?
It will be, won't it?
Yeah, a little bit of that, and then it's just one of the anniversaries as well. The Star Trek one I'm reading to re-edit of the original motion picture. And it's had some really good reviews, like the way it's been re-edited and reshot. But it's just going to be cool to see it on the big screen. And The World Is Not Enough. I know it's not on paper a great Bond. Tomorrow Never Dies last week, or the week just gone. That is an underrated Bond film. I'd really recommend going back and watching it, especially with the whole media mogul thing. It's actually a lot more relevant to today's sort of world than it was when it came out. It seemed far-fetched when it came out. Now it's like, yeah, a bit more feasible. But yeah, so that's why I'm going to see.
Mate, it's got Denise Richards in it playing a character called Merry Christmas. I mean, what more do you want?
Yeah, she was definitely my favourite thing in that film.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the worst. Yeah, her acting wasn't, but like, what people I guess were watching it for. Yeah, a nuclear scientist is like, you're not love, are you there?
And we get to see, I forgot her name, but the villain, obviously, she straps James Bond to that weird chair thing and like tries to like put a little pin in his neck at some point, and they make it seem like he's really dying from it. That's really fun. Remember that?
Actually, not.
But Robbie Coltrane's back. That's, you know,
it's not a bad Bond film. Let's be honest. Like the Pierce Brosnan kind of Bond is really good because
it's not.
And we get Robert Carlyle in a bald cap for the whole movie, doing a weird Russian accent. Don't forget that.
Shall I tell you? I'm going to be really honest. I'm going to make another confession online now. Right? Is that I actually gave up on Bond after Skyfall. I think it was. I haven't seen anything since. No, I haven't seen anything since the one before that. I haven't seen Skyfall. Just because for me, Bond was that campiness. It was that kind of slightly unreal, over the top kind of this guy wouldn't last 5 minutes in real life sort of thing. Like, and then when they made him kind of a parkour running like superhero-esque Bond, I was like, oh no, that's not me.
Mate, GoldenEye. GoldenEye was the pinnacle.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a big sucker for the Dalton films.
Oh, Timothy Dalton is my favourite Bond. Hands down, my favourite Bond. Timothy Dalton, then Pierce Brosnan. That to me. And do you know that Pierce Brosnan was supposed to get it before, when Timothy Dalton was cast, that was supposed to be Pierce Brosnan. And he didn't do it because of contracting issues.
But he was already cast, with another another film series that never did a sequel, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And then he got it back, like missed out on Bond. But Timothy Dalton is my favourite Bond, followed by Pierce Brosnan. Like those films, if I watch all of those, that's Bond to me. Anything after that didn't. You know, the older ones you've kind of
got video games based on Bond.
Yeah, the older ones, the Sean Connery, the Roger Moore, like you've got to kind of take them with a pinch of salt now because most of them are just mildly offensive. Like it's kind of like each of those films.
It should be called No Means No, Sean.
Yeah. Each of those films, like the Bond series of what is it, like 65 films, whatever it is, will soon become the Bond kind of anthology, like, because so many of them are going to get like erased. But they're of the time, whatever. But yeah, Dalton and Brosnan for me was Bond. Anything after that didn't work. Who's going to be the next Bond? That's the big question.
Someone said there was actually odds on Tom Holland. I was like, what? No, come on.
He's a bit young, isn't he?
Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I never picture a young man as Bond.
Nathan Drake.
No, I always thought Henry Cavill would have been a great Bond. Like he would have, if he had got it over Daniel Craig, it would have continued the look for me, like Pierce Brosnan, Timothy Dalton, him. Like it could have fit for me, but yeah, I don't know.
Jack Whitehall.
Man from Uncle, the remake of the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. I'm really gutted it didn't turn into the franchise it was intended to be. Because I actually thought The Man from U.N.C.L.E. was brilliant.
Yeah, I think that would have been great.
But Arnie Hammer's in it, and he's not very popular in it at the moment. So
I have no idea. Or just cast someone like Ricky Gervais as the next Bond. Like then I'll get back on board. Like it's someone that's just totally doesn't make sense to be Bond. Like would reel me in again. Like
sorry, just picture Ricky Gervais like, ooh, I've got a gun.
Yeah. Or Peter Kay. Can you imagine Peter Kay as James Bond? Like, or Jimmy Carr. Jimmy Carr is the next Bond. That's what I'm petitioning for.
Who laughs weirder than the villain?
Yeah.
Martini.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant. Can you imagine him strapped to a chair and then like the bad guy's kind of, in Bond knows his plan the whole way along. He goes, and Mr. Bond, this is what I'm going to do. I knew it the whole way along. Like, that would be brilliant. Jimmy Carr is the next Bond. That's my petition. That would be ridiculous. But yeah. But hey, I don't know. On that note, I think we need to wrap it up because we're getting delirious now. We're getting delirious. But yeah, no, it's an interesting week. So Ryan, you're not here with us next week. You got more time off, but hey, let's not talk about that. But yeah, hopefully next time you're on board with us, you're no. Hopefully next time you're back, your internet will be a little bit faster, and we can have you. Did he just glitch for you?
He just suddenly went.
You proper Wreck-It Ralph glitch, like you were like off camera and then like on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So it's all
I'm
good.
bad, and that's good. I'll never be good, and that's not bad. But there's no one I'd rather be than me.
Oh, Hallmark. Right. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Obviously, do check out geekweekinreview.co.uk. The gents socials, the channel socials, all of them are on there. So do give us a follow, like, share, subscribe, all those things. And tune in next week for episode 63 when we talk about stuff that hasn't happened yet. So until next week, keep it geek.
The Geek Week in Review.